Quite a large subject, so we're breaking it down into sections. So the first part we're going to talk about is global weather, because all the weather that we experience is initiated by global weather. So there's a few really basic principles that drive the weather. The first one is warm air rises, and as it rises it cools and then sinks. So if you imagine the bonfires in the picture, the hot air rises. If you look at a bonfire, the smoke and the ashes all rise up really rapidly, and then the cool air goes in to replace the air that's risen. So you get a circular motion just like this around a bonfire. So warm air rises, as it sinks, as it cools, it then sinks. So warm air rises is basic principle on weather. So this is proven by the fact that we have hot air balloons, warm air from the gas burner into the balloon, it rises. So warm air rises. So the same sort of effect happens on the planet on a massive scale. So the sun heats the earth by radiation. There's more radiation on the equator than there is on the poles, and that's just due to the concentration of the radiation hitting the equator. So the radiation from the sun to the equator is of a concentrated space. As you go to north or south of the poles, that it gets larger, so there's less concentration. So it is hotter around the equator than it is in the poles. So just like a bonfire on the equator, the hot air rises, it cools, then it sinks, and that causes a circular motion of air, just like it is in the picture. Obviously, this is a really simplified version of what actually happens. So this is the hot air rising, then cooling, but as the Earth spins, it's deflected. Just as it's shown there, it's deflected in the directions, and this is due to the spin of the Earth, which is called the Coriolis effect. So here's a diagram cut through the Earth here with the equator. The equator's hotter, hot air rises. You can see the air rising, it cools down, and then it sinks. So we get a cell of air going in a motion here, and this is the Hadley cell going round and round in a motion here. On the pole, we get the cold air sinking, and it goes along, it warms and it rises, so we get a circulation of air here. This is the polar cell. In between, the ferrule cell isn't driven by the weather, it's driven by both the Hadley cell and the polar cell, and it's like a gear wheel between the two. So here we've got air rising, circulating, and then falling. As we have air rising, we get an area of low pressure. Okay, so we get an area of low pressure, and as the air drops down, we get an area of high pressure. So high pressure in this area, with high pressure is associated with dry, and we get the deserts in the regions of this area here and further down in this area here. And where the air rises, we get unstable, wet weather, and this area here between the polar cell and the ferrule cell is known as the polar front. So we get wet and windy weather here. On the equator, with bonfires rising, and we'll get wet weather here and not a lot of wind because the air is rising straight up. So we have these cells running all the time. If the Earth was all land with no sea, the cells would be simple. It would come up at the equator, it would heat, and then it would drop and it would cool down over the poles. Because we have the water, and the water takes longer to warm up than the land, it forms cells like in the diagram. So it is quite complicated, but these are the cells that we have, and these are the cells that drive the weather that we have on the surface. If you want more information on how these work and how they form, there's some fantastic videos on the Met Office website. So this shows the weather on the surface going in the same direction, and it gives us here, either side of the equator, the trade winds, and they're called the trade winds because they blew the sailing ships. They always blew in the same direction, and they use them in the sailing ships to trade. The westerlies above the subtropical high will blow predominantly west or southwest, and they'll be used for the trades to come back to Europe again. In between the two cells, there's a jet stream, which is high up, and it drives the low pressures associated between the cells. So that's the jet stream, and they travel easterly. If we look at the cross section here of the cells, we have the warm air at the equator rising and then falling. Then we have the cold air falling at the pole. So we've got the two circular motions of the polar cell and the Hadley cell, and in the middle, gearing between them, the Ferrel cell going up at the polar front. And we can see the position of the polar jet here and also the subtropical jet stream here. So the UK forms on the gap where the cold air is coming in from the pole and the warm air is coming in from the Ferrel cell driven from the equator. So we've got the polar front here, cold air and warm air meeting. That polar front is usually between the Azores high, which is here, and the Icelandic low, which is further up here. And it puts the UK in a path of weather coming across the Atlantic Ocean because the weather is driven by the polar jet stream coming this way. And here it is, the gap between, the join between the polar air and the warmer air below. And that polar jet stream will move around. So depending on the time of year and also other factors, that jet stream will move. So the movement of that jet stream will be the great drive in the weather that you'll be experiencing at the moment. And this diagram shows the jet stream moving around. This also changes with the axis of the sun. Obviously in the summer we tilt towards the sun, in the winter we tilt away from the sun. So the jet stream will rise a bit in the summer and drop a bit in the winter. The seasons usually are about a month behind, and that's just inertia in weather. So we should experience the coldest weather in about January, which is a month on from the shortest day, which is December the 21st. The next principle is warm air holds more moisture than cold air. Other principle is that water cools and warms relatively slowly. So the sea cools and warms relatively slowly, while the land cools and warms relatively quickly. So if we look here, we've got the polar front going through the top. Above it, we've got cold air, which holds less moisture. And below it, we've got warm air, which holds more moisture. And over the sea, we've got water that cools and warms relatively slowly. And over Europe, we've got land, which cools and warms relatively quickly. So this diagram, it really depends on where the weather's coming from, or where the wind's coming from, as to the weather we get. So anything coming from the north will be cold. Anything coming from the south will be warm. So if we've got a southwesterly, which is a prevailing wind, it's called tropical maritime, and it's wet and warm. If it's southeasterly, it's called tropical continental, and it's dry and warm. If it's coming over the Atlantic Ocean from the north, so if it's coming from the northwest, it's called polar maritime. Coming straight down, it's Arctic maritime. And if it's coming off the dry cold land from the east, it's polar continental. So us in the east, if we do get an easterly polar continental, that is quite often associated with snow on the east coast of the UK. So where the wind comes from dictates the temperature. This ends our short video on global weather and how weather is made. Please watch our other videos showing frontal weather, how the weather is where we are, and how to get weather forecasts. And also we make a cloud and we show how warm air holds more moisture than cold air. So please watch this video in conjunction with other city sailing videos. So enjoy yourself, have a good day, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, bye, out.